Hello and welcome to the first of many episodes of the Caffeinated Librarian. I'm your host, Simona.
And I'm Amy.
And we have a guest. Introduce yourself.
I'm Laura.
Great.
The hater.
Obviously, we all work together. And today we're going to be talking about The Witcher. So spoilers. So we'll be discussing the show.
So like episode 4, right? I think that's what we
For me, it'll be episode 3. I couldn't make it past.
Me too. Woo!
So, and then like Amy will probably be also talking about, the books. So, I guess like I could just start off with a general, like, what is The Witcher? So it started off as like a series of novels written by a Polish author.
Short stories.
Some
short stories, some novels. Yeah, it was like, it was clearly well thought out. Like, he started with short stories, which is fun to try and figure out, like, where to start reading. So, yeah, so I'm reading the short stories right now.
Okay, and the central character is a Witcher named Geralt of Rivia. I'm assuming that's how the name is pronounced.
I was schooled very early. Geralt.
Okay. Geralt of Rivia.
I think it's just Gerald, but like with a G.
Oh, okay. Geralt. All right. So a Witcher, from what I've understood, is an individual gifted with supernatural powers and abilities, and they're monster hunters for hire. So the Witcher novels were also adapted into 3 action role-playing games. So it was The Witcher in 2007, The Witcher 2, Assassins of Kings, 2012, and The Witcher 3, Wild Hunt in 2015. And then eventually it became a Netflix original series. So that's some background that I dutifully looked up. So the first season is 8 episodes. It premiered December 20th, 2019. And I know that it has been greenlit for a second season. So
more dirty Witcher wandering around towns. So I was, I did an episode by episode, recap sheet because, I'm usually half asleep when I'm watching that, and I never know what exactly is a dream. And then, so usually it's not. Usually it's like, no, that was real. So I did want to point out, and I don't know if this is going to be like a truth bomb, and get ready, Laura, if it is. So this is 3 different timelines.
So I am kind of not entirely surprised because there was something that I picked up on. I tried to rewatch. I had watched 1 and 2 and a little bit of 3. They are so painful for me to get through. I cannot tell you. I hate everything about them. But there was something that was mentioned where I was like, wait, what? Because it made me think that we were jumping around in a timeline. And then I was just even more annoyed and confused.
I literally could not wait.
Yeah. No,
For your response.
Yeah.
See, that's news to me. But granted, I only watched up until episode 3. And I enjoyed episode 3. But it's just, I cannot bring myself to continue. And it's I feel sad because I love fantasy and I like rich worlds, but I don't know, I'll
tell you all the reasons why you can't.
Okay.
So, the first season, each of the main characters, so Geralt, Ciri, and Yennefer, Geralt spans about 20 years, Yennefer spans about 70 years, and Ciri spans about 2 weeks.
Wow. Okay.
Easy peasy.
And so how is it that I've completed episodes 1 and 2 and I can't even tell who the main characters are at this point? I just, or how they're connected, or why I even care.
Wait. So these year spans are within the first 3 episodes? Have I understood?
No, this is the whole season. It could be.
Yeah.
But no, the whole season is like the story arcs for each of them
Oh.
takes that long. So Yennefer is like 70 years. And like I imagine they'll all meet up at some point, but they haven't yet in my watching or reading. And the way I like figured it out was my husband told me. But because in I think it's the second episode where there's the creepy princess who was brought about by an incestuous relationship. Yeah, that was the third.
Okay.
So yeah, I know. Like,
But you see,
but
I know I shouldn't have been rooting for the whole incest angle of the, and I'm going to clarify.
Listen,
I'm gonna
as a Game
clarify-
of Thrones person, I understand.
I'm
that
going to
dynamic.
clarify that statement before listeners think, oh my God, she's supporting incest. I'm not supporting incest. But when I first started watching that episode, I'm like, oh my God, the creepy brother who raped his sister. But then I started watching, I was like, no, maybe it was consensual. So I started feeling a little bit better about that storyline. I was like, okay, so at least there was love involved in that relationship.
creepy,
Creepy.
but love.
But love. But yes, continue.
So at the beginning, you see a picture, like a portrait of the brother and the sister.
Okay.
And then later on in the episode, there's also Mousesack. By the way, Mousesack, why? Mousesack. But anyway.
That's a name.
That is a name,
Yeah.
a for real name.
Yeah.
So,
Not
but
a fan.
you see them in different story arcs. And so in that, the brother and sister portrait, in the Yennefer scene, when she comes in looking banging, they're standing there.
So in the scene, like I kind of thought of it as they're dancing around this room and everyone else is just like projections. Like I didn't get the feeling that I got the feeling that they weren't really there, but then when they were it's a very weird dream-esque kind
Right.
of scene. But when Yennefer walked in looking very beautiful, like she commands the scene when she walks in, I noticed the king and the sister. I said, wait a minute, what are they doing as children? This can't be. Like, are they there? Are they not there? So that part kind of confused me. First of all, a lot about that scene confused me.
Me
Like,
too, yeah.
I kind of felt like it was one of those debutante balls where, like, you know, like, which one do you want? Dance with them and figure it out. But I don't know.
Who's your magician?
Yeah, so it was just a very weird scene.
To go back to what's it called? Renfrey. The Renfrey story.
Yes.
I read that story in the short stories. So they tried with some of them to interweave, and the stories are, a lot of them are based on like fairy tales. So with Renfrey, she was the stolen princess from Snow White. And she originally like found some dwarves and convinced them that killing people was easier than mining. And that's how that came about. And like that, like they kept coming back in that episode to evil. Like, is there a lesser evil? Is evil evil?
Right.
Is there a lesser, like, is killing more people? And in the book, they actually said, they'd pulled this before, where they kind of held a town captive to get what they wanted. And people were outraged that so many people died before they gave up these people in jail. And the other faction of the town was furious that they let them out, and they should have just killed all the people on the ship, like, because they were just chucking people over. So like this was their game plan. They would just terrorize a town
Gotcha.
and just kill people until they sent the person out.
So none of that is developed, though. Although I have to say,
Right.
like, if I think one of my biggest problems is the way I'm not sure how this land or world or whatever treats women, because either they, I get from some characters that she says, well, I'm just a girl, I can't, I'm not allowed to whatever.
Right.
But then, Renfrey seemed to command a certain amount of respect, which I didn't understand, because didn't understand who she was at that point in time.
Right.
But I have to say, of the female characters that I've seen in the 2 very long episodes that I've watched, I kind of, Renfrey I liked, and she dies.
I know.
So, I know. I'm like, I'm not,
That was me too.
I have a feeling that we're going to see her again. I don't know how, but I mean, they put a lot of work into her character. And, that she, and the whole story is correct that, in the end, he's trying so hard to keep her alive. And, giving her really every opportunity to just be like, I'm done. You're going to win. Let's just walk away from this.
Well,
I'll do bad somewhere else.
Going back to Laura, what you mentioned about the role of women, what I did like about the kingdom that we see in the first episode, obviously, from what I understood, the queen seems like she's the primary ruler. The husband almost seemed like that's her consort. Sort of.
Prince Philip.
I had a hard time understanding, is that her husband? Is that the brother who's making inappropriate comments to the niece? I honestly, because I was trying to figure out the age gap between them, and I was like, husband.
Yeah.
Lover? What are you? I couldn't figure it out. But I liked how she seemed like she was the power figure. She didn't seem like she was oppressed. She had a commanding
princesses, and Renfrey was a princess as well.
Yeah.
So, if you're magic or a princess, maybe you have power.
And it's with Renfrey and Geralt that I kind of got that hint at that timeline jumping around, because she says something when they're in the woods about, I don't even know the queen's name, but so-and-so just won her first battle at the age of 18, and I was like, wait a second. She just told her granddaughter, there was that discussion with the granddaughter, but I was kind of like, wait, that, yeah.
And one of the hints in Vulture is just check how the queen's doing. Check how that kingdom is doing, and if it's doing okay, it's a long time ago.
Interesting.
Because that'll come up in conversation as a way to gauge where you are in this 70, 20, or 2-week period.
So at this point, we don't know, did he find the girl in the woods? Did he not find the girl in the woods?
Well, maybe at the end of the season, if we ever get to that.
Okay.
We'll touch base.
Yes.
Yeah.
Has she been wandering the woods for 30 years? That's what I want to know.
Well, she was pulled into, she was kind of, seduced into this, forest, and they're elves, correct?
Oh, I know that it's revealed, spoiler, it's revealed that this young man whom she finds in the woods, who doesn't talk, and at first I thought, okay, is he mute? Was his tongue cut? I was thinking about all these dire, what's going on with him? He helps her, catches a rat, feeds her.
Right.
Leading to the lovely name of Rat Boy.
Yeah.
Which is, and then he has a name, but I don't remember it.
Yeah, and then eventually, they both end up in this refugee camp of people from her grandmother's kingdom who are fleeing the enemy soldiers. And the man who leads the Nilfgaardians, I'm not going to attempt to pronounce his character name.
Good.
So they're fleeing those enemy soldiers. They've built up a camp. The young boy, I don't really think he goes into the camp. He's like, no, don't go. He doesn't want to go in there.
Right.
He's an elf.
Okay.
And elves at one point, it sort of reminded me of so much of Lord of the Rings. So at one point they were together. They seem to have taught mankind all they know. Mankind decided we want more and more and more. Overthrew them. They basically lost whatever kingdoms they had. They're outcasts. And yeah, I was getting to the point with the woods because you mentioned so at one point the princess, she's walking away from the young elf boy and he's telling her to stop. So then he gets shot by an arrow. I'm like, oh my God, did he die? And she's still and these voices are luring her into the woods, and that's where the episode cuts off where you don't know.
Okay.
Those are elves.
I thought they were. That's my guess, but then I don't know.
Yeah.
But But in the one I'm reading right now, which is covered in part with Geralt dealing with the bad guy. I'm killing this, but in any case, I think it's the second episode where he's like trying to defeat this creature that's kind of taken over a town. The thing with the
devil.
horns.
Yes,
Yeah, that
which
one.
looks like a weird middle school like project that you made with a Halloween costume or something. Like it did not.
I had a lot of paper mache and hair.
Yes.
I see. Was I the only one? Like you're talking about the guy that he's not a centaur. Not a centaur. Centaur's the half horse.
That's
He's
what
the goat man.
The thing in the maze. The thing in the maze. A minotaur.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, he's the one that he ends up. He's like throwing pebbles at girl and the.
Right. Because that's.
But Goatman sounds is more like
let's go
Minotaur
with,
to me would be.
Goatman sounds appropriate.
Better makeup.
Honestly, when I saw, I thought that was like I'm assuming that was CGI work, not prosthetics.
It was lousy CGI work.
Yeah.
Because he has like the bug-eyed. He almost looks like Picasso put him together. Like I was trying to figure out how it worked. But I felt so bad because he's helping the elves. Going back to the elvish snobbery. So here you got the elves with their like rant about how you humans took everything from us. We should kill you.
Yeah.
And then you got Goatman. They're basically shoving him aside like you don't matter. Like don't. And I'm like, you're complaining about how we treated you unfairly. But Goatman, who apparently has been getting their food for them, these lazy. They're ever insulting him. I wanted to hug the goat man. I'm like, leave the elves now. Like, to heck with the elves. Like, because like they're so. I know they're bitter, but I just felt bad how they're ranting about how we're treated lesser than. If it wasn't for us, you humans wouldn't have been able to crawl out of your caves.
And we get that again with the little person's treatment when the woman that helped Siri.
Was it wrong that I felt good when she got stabbed?
I kind of felt
I'm
good
killing
too.
It today. First with the incest thing, now like she got stabbed. Good for her.
When she makes them give her shoes to
I was like, we'll provide for you. And he was like, and I'm like,
that you have to.
I'm glad Siri was outraged at least.
Yeah, you have to downtrod someone else when you're talking about how downtrodden you are is kind of a
I was so hoping that before she had died, Siri, like, as they're being invaded, she would have said, by the way, I'm the princess. Peace out. I just because I was waiting for her, like, I could see, like, she's like, oh, it's because of the queen and her wretched family. I was waiting for her to say something, but she didn't.
So I do, like, I think it's interesting because I think that moment felt like it so wanted to be like, this is a pivotal, like, turning, teachable moment that will come back to her and it'll, like, make her a better ruler. Like, I'm sure that's all how it's going to lay out, except it shouldn't be so darn obvious. Like, this does, this is, like,
this
an after-school special.
Yes.
It just, it's very,
Ian, our favorite bard.
What?
The bard character.
Yeah.
Because he talks about how this is exposition. Because when he gives the whole history, and at first, before he says this is, I was like, my God, that's a lot of exposition.
But it's all lies, too.
Yeah, but at the same time, they were saying how it doesn't work. Like, they're trying to critique being, like, exposition, but at the same time, you're still being exposition. So the joke sort of falls flat. I found the bard character a little annoying. Like, I mean, at this point, we don't need comic relief. You know, the goat man did it for me. Like, I don't really need. I found the bard so annoying. Like,
I love him. Oop, I hit a table. I love him, and I love him in the book too. Like, you know, he was talking about how he got through school, because you know, and Geralt's like, oh, did you study music? And he said, no, geography. And the Geralt's like, really? And he's like, you could hide wine behind the big books. And I just love him. And I want, and I'm hoping at some point we learn about how they became friends, because, I mean, in the book, they do not appear to like each other. Like, their styles are not really, you know, they're very opposite. And there is, in the book at least, some very real tenderness. They actually do like each other.
Interesting. Yeah.
And that's not the impression you get.
Yeah, no. I think the last scene I saw with him, like, Geralt's, like, punching him in the
Right, exactly.
Like,
Yeah,
this'll make
yeah.
you leave me alone.
Yeah,
If
exactly.
being held captive by elves who want to kill you isn't enough to make this bard want to leave you alone, a punch in the gut isn't going to do it.
No.
But I do feel like the interaction between the two of them felt more authentic than a lot of the interactions
True.
between the other characters.
True.
And they keep making reference, and since you've read the stories, I think you had mentioned it, but the girl is supposed to be kind of like flat affect, not show
Right,
emotion, which I don't know. I kept seeing emotion, like he seemed annoyed, or he would,
Right,
you know,
right.
like I didn't know. He wasn't like Spock, you know. That, like
Yeah.
Spock, I could see there's
Right.
no emotion, or like there's something not right. So I don't know if that's a fault of the writing, or like the acting, you know,
Right.
or how that.
Well, he does. He does have a personality,
Yeah.
and the mythology about the Witchers is that they have all emotion taken out of them. But he's also like a few hundred years old, and you'd probably get pretty good at just being like, dude, you know, like having a bit of a stone face.
So in the scenes we're seeing him, he's like 100 years old or more.
Yeah, he's
Yeah, that's how I'm
the-
aging.
yeah, I'm
Incredibly well
I am
preserved.
aging like a Witcher as well.
I kind of wonder though if Witchers, like if what they take in to sort of become what they are is consensually done. That's what I'm curious
I
about.
don't believe so. No.
Okay.
As it's explained in the book, you know, you basically I'm trying to remember which story this is from too. I don't remember if it was in the shows yet, but you wind up, if you promise someone something, you know, and it's like, you know, you help someone and they say, I'll grant you anything, thank you. And they say, I'll take the first thing that you're surprised with when you come home. And a lot of the time when you're off at war, you are surprised by a kid.
I was gonna say infidelity. Is that linked? Yeah, well, maybe.
No, not necessarily, but you know, like, no, it was. That was why it was itching my brain. The marriage dinner where they're trying to get this lady married. She's already in love with someone, and a knight comes in to demand her hand because he was promised her, because he helped the king, and
Oh, that is giving me King Arthur vibes. Because his father, Uther,
Pendragon.
yeah, desired his mother, who was married to another nobleman, and he basically got Merlin in exchange for helping out with something to promise that he could spend one night with this man's wife, and he would appear to her disguised as the husband.
Oh.
So he went to her. She thought, "Oh, it's my husband. Come back." They,
Right.
have sex, and that's where she gives birth to Arthur.
Oh.
So that's what that kind of reminds. So basically, because
Yeah,
I'm
it
also
could
thinking
have
about the
been-
movie that was made in
Right.
the '70s with Helen Mirren, where she plays
Grana?
no, she plays Arthur's half sister,
Morgana.
Yes. And that's what that reminded me of, because Uther says, I want what's promised to me. I want what's promised to me.
Right.
So I'm wondering if that's what he's playing with.
Yeah, very, very possibly. So at the end of the story, the cursed one that demanded his wife, and they were actually in love, so that's kind of nice.
Oh, okay.
He says, like, I will give you anything. I owe you my life, basically. And he says, I have to ask, like, I can't say anything unless you ask me that twice. So he says it again, and he says, I'll take that which you do not know you have. And they all, like, look at the lady. And, so he's coming back in a few years. And they take them when they're young.
Oh.
So they're taken, like, at around 6 or something.
So this is how he became
That's
a
how
Witcher.
he
Okay.
became a Witcher. He was either like, they were like, hey, I like that kid. I'm going to take him and see if he dies when I give him potion. And then, or through one of these kind of
yicky
Yeah.
deals.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I don't
Whenever
think
you play
that.
with magic, it's always a yicky deal. Right?
Yeah,
Like,
right,
it's
yeah. Like, I'll just take your
There's
kid.
a price.
I'm pretty sure they weren't thinking that. Like, maybe gold?
Right.
Yeah. Huh. No, but that's just really interesting because I'm thinking of some other fairy tales.
Yeah. They play
Right.
heavily. I've read Beauty and the Beast in Witcherland. It's very interesting the way they're twisted.
Hmm. What did you think about the whole about the character of I'm gonna say Tisaya DeVries, the the head. I'm gonna call it the head mage who basically goes to Yennefer, buys her from her family, takes her to Hogwarts. And
Yeah.
and basically,
I kind of feel
Yeah.
like her, like I feel like Snape, like good, bad, I can't tell at
Yeah,
this point. I can't,
yeah.
you know.
I was just thinking about all the girls. The one girl that strikes me is the one that always has her doll in her hand. Like
They're also
Yeah.
sad, and then
yeah, because you wonder like how many of them are here because they're in on the game, like they know what's gonna happen, or how many are like because she keeps on clutching her doll, and at one point, Tasai just like snatches it and tosses it, like we have
Right.
business to do or that sort of
Right.
thing. But I
well,
was,
they were all given over. I remember there's that exposition scene where she's like, "Oh, you you set this place on fire," and
Right.
so she was probably feeling it was a punishment, even without getting turned into a slug as a graduation present.
yeah, I was
So-
trying to understand that scene because it's like you're all going. I don't think they use the term ascend. I'm just gonna say ascend, and they turn into eels.
Right,
And Yennefer's there. She was like,
right.
"Is it
'cause
okay
she
that they're
was-
eels?" And
She
like,
was the true graduate. Everybody else was a sacrifice.
"That is so sad."
So she thought she didn't graduate.
And there's one of the girls is Fringilla. She's the first one to, she
Yes.
gets that withered hand.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
she's the red shirt.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
That's just Star Trek, like, she's the one, like, when it
Oh, yeah.
immediately happened. And what kills me, again, I find, like, one of the things that drives me crazy is the pacing. And it seems, like, off, and the timing is off. So, she's able to raise that rock. And then the girl, like, to her left or right says, "Your hand," and she looks at her hand, and then it withers. And
Yeah.
I'm like, really? There was no,
Right,
it was
maybe-
kind of like the timing of it. It just
Right.
feels like
Maybe
I
you
don't
could have
know.
reversed
Yes,
that.
yes.
But doesn't it get reversed? Because when she's dancing with the king, whom
Right.
Yennefer wants to go to that kingdom, it's so funny how
But it
Yennefer.
might have been before. No, that was But I was
Maybe she
like,
got healed.
I was just raging at Dan about that. My
Oh.
husband. I was just like, are they gonna fix it?
I thought it had been fixed, but I was just thinking how about Yennefer, how they want to send her to Nilfgaardian. I love these names. I'm gonna say Nilf. They want to send her. They want to send her to Nilf, and Yennefer basically says how because supposedly the king is lecherous.
Right.
But then you see the king who's dancing with Fringilla, and he goes, perhaps, I don't know where Yennefer's originally from. Like, perhaps if she had been from, oh no, it's Vengerberg. I have it in her name, of course. Like, if she was originally from Vengerberg, her dancing skills would be better. And then Yennefer presents herself, and the king, the way he looks at her, and like, Yennefer,
Oh,
do you
yeah.
honestly think that when you're in his employ, he will not be groping you? Like, looking at that king, it's like, I'm sorry, like, the look on his face is like,
Right.
basically like a piece of meat just walked right in.
I don't think I made it this far, so I'm
Right. Well,
like, I'm
yeah.
fascinated.
This
Yeah,
is
yeah.
when she and I was also like in my notes, although my computer's timed out. She is trading her ability to have a child for the body
Okay.
that she is getting, and they've basically they pulled that opportunity from her at one point, and so she just kind of went in and was like, we're doing this, to basically I got very upset when I saw this, and I encourage you to watch this episode
Yeah.
just because there is a dude that rebodies people.
And
like he's like the queer eye guy.
I'm so because he originally he chooses the dresses for people. He's basically their queer eye fashion designer. That's what he is.
I am a fashion mage.
And he also doubles as a surgeon apparently.
Right.
So she goes to him, and first of all he removes something from her body.
Her uterus.
But it was it was so. Okay, maybe I don't know how big a uterus is, but it was so shriveled, and I'm like.
They're kind of teeny.
Acorn, what is it? You know,
right.
and he just he just rips it from her.
Right. It was scared.
Yeah. So I was like, okay. But what I was curious is because there obviously are men, I'm going to call them mages. I don't know what the actual term for them is, but I'm going to say mages. So there's the man that Yennefer is involved with, who becomes a turncoat, and I kind of saw that coming. This isn't a lasting relationship.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm wondering, are the men sterilized as well? Because
no, I think this was just because she wanted a new body. Because she wanted to get fixed.
Okay.
But I will mention that her boobs were fine.
True, those did not need any work at all. But that scene was horrifying, but I thought it was one of the most engaging scenes, and it was juxtaposed to the scene where Geralt is hunting the offspring of the brother and sister, who's basically been cursed to be this monster, which I'm sure you might watch, you may not, but basically what you find out is that, and I was kind of confused because, so basically the brother and sister were involved in an incestuous but consensual relationship. The mother got wind of it, wrote letters basically saying, put an end to this now. Right. Apparently they never did, they didn't care. And then this guard, who was also in love with the sister.
Right, the head of the guard.
Found out and decided basically that he was going to curse her offspring in order to get back at the king.
Right. If I can't have you, no one
but
can.
Isn't
love.
it implied though? Because remember the scene where Geralt basically says, I know what you did on that bed. Now I don't want to get too explicit because I know we can't. It's on this podcast.
He smelled it on the sheets. He smelled something.
Okay. Because I wanted to know, had he, assaulted the... Because I know I don't want to get inappropriate on the pod. Had he assaulted the princess, or...
Yeah, that's kind of not...
Okay, so I'll just leave it at that.
Well, he gives this big whiny speech about,
That's what led me to believe he done something to her.
The king could have had anyone.
Yeah. So basically he cursed the offspring to become this monster that can only be satiated by eating people. She needs their organs, and she kind of goes into a crypt during the day.
Right.
And
She's sort of a vampire, vampire werewolf combo because she comes out once a month.
So the scene of Geralt fighting her is juxtaposed to Yennefer getting this horrific body work done to her.
Lots of blood.
But I thought it was the most engaging moment of the episode. Honestly, it held my attention. I was like, oh my God, because they're being juxtaposed. And I'm assuming they're juxtaposed for a reason.
Well, because cursed child. I'm because, okay, so there's this, seriously cursed child, and then there's, whether or not we're going to talk about disability as a curse. Mm-hmm. But I'm gonna go with that might be what they were thinking, and then in addition to, she had to sacrifice her uterus to give birth to herself as a whole being.
Well, a woman wrote an article about that. I didn't
about the disability and ableism of it,
and also about the notion of sterilization, because in this country, people who were mentally disabled or considered
less than
or not worthy of basically being able to produce were forcefully sterilized. And this was I'm not sure if it still happens to women in prison, but it was happening a lot in prisons.
Not anymore.
Where women were being forcefully sterilized. So she took it basically... I didn't see it this way because Yennefer, first of all, she's informed. She's basically told... I'm going to call him fashion guy.
Yeah,
she's basically told, if I do this, this is what's going to be the consequence. Mm-hmm. And I think he tells her at least 2 times. Mm-hmm. And she says, I don't care, do it.
Right.
So I didn't see it exactly that way. I didn't read it because it's not like he performs the surgery and then he says, by the way, as a result, you can no longer have children. He tells her and she gives her consent. Now one could argue, well,
Right.
how else could she have been beautiful? But
Well, I mean, at one, like the paramour says, you're more interested in beauty and power than anything. And like, so she's basically stitching that one in.
I was just going to say, it just seems interesting to me because it makes me just wonder, obviously the ability to have children in so many stories, that's kind of all women are there for. You know what I mean? And
Yes.
so to have a woman who says, yeah, no, I'll give that up. That's not my purpose.
Right.
I want a different purpose. I know how this world works. I know that you'll use that right to have a baby, against me
Yeah,
in some
right,
way.
right.
I want the power of beauty, which will give me what I need. It's interesting to me if that's
that
part
is-
of that choice. But I'm still not sure that.
Did
I'm
anyone
gonna watch
think that much
episode.
into
Yes.
it?
because
But-
then apparently she
Yeah.
becomes baby obsessed. I think, which was
Okay.
what another issue that the woman who wrote the article had, where she basically says, "Oh, I don't care.
that's
Get
so
rid of the
that's-
uterus."
For reals, that happens later
Yeah,
in the
so
show.
basically
She
she
has
almost
BB
becomes
fever.
like a baby snatcher. I think like she steals a baby, or she becomes obsessed then with having a child.
So in general, she was never going to be happy with any of her fates, right? I mean,
Right,
is that
right.
like, the ultimate takeaway? To swap one curse for another.
Yeah,
and
which
you're
is
still not-
interesting because even with her deformity, she still was found desirable by
What's
I-
his name?
Istrid, I believe his name is, right?
Well, I
no,
mean-
is it? Oh,
Well,
by
they,
that guy.
that whole thing is a little questionable to me because they're both snitching on each other.
And I
Agreed.
wonder if they threw that
Agreed.
in because I almost felt like as I was watching, I was like, "Oh, this is so beautiful." He sees past it. They're in a consensual, and then all of a sudden they threw in he's a devious little, and I'm like, I kind of felt like that was thrown in to say you cannot have that level of trust. Like she's right to be mistrustful because no one will
Right.
see her as anything beyond the deformity.
But I also think, but she's
snitching on him, too,
as
yeah.
well. And I
True.
thought, gee, that maybe.
But I
they
wonder
deserve
maybe
each
But
other.
I kind of felt like that was thrown in. Another
Yeah.
thing is that even with her deformity, she still was going to be placed someplace.
Right.
She was still going to be, because I get the feeling that these mages are almost like the hand of the king, to use the Game of Thrones phrase.
Right.
Like they occupy positions of authority and power. So even with her deformity, it's not like what's her face? Tisea was saying, you're gonna join like the convent far, far away. Like she
Right.
wasn't hiding her, because once she
Right.
goes to this kingdom, I'm gonna say Nilf. Once she goes to Nilf, she's going to be in the public eye. It's not like she's gonna be operating
Right.
from a tower, up on.
Yeah, but she's never gonna see herself as anything other, unless, and I think that, that's again trade one curse for another. Even if they really did love each other, she wasn't ever gonna think that it was anything more than in spite of.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think, everything is viewed for her as her deformity. Because, I mean, and not even as a disability framed in the U.S. context and all that stuff. That's all she had. If we're going to look at psychological effects of child abuse, that was all she
Right.
was.
Yeah.
She was just messed up. She was just a problem.
Yeah. I just kind of felt bad because when I saw the release, I was like, oh, okay, this is nice. It's sweet. It's like.
I know. I saw
See,
them
I'm
together
rooting-
and I was
see,
like,
I'm-
oh, dude,
See,
this is a problem.
I'm rooting for
The
all the
romance.
twisted, it's like, it's, people are going to say that she's the odd one in this bunch. But I don't,
You're pro-love.
I
You're
know.
just pro-love.
In all its forms. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of felt like that was thrown in there to basically say, you see, granted, I'm sure she would always have those suspicions, but I kind of felt like it was just thrown in there to create the drama, so to speak.
Yeah.
I don't know. Because obviously when he sees her, like when she leaves, like even the fact that you lost your chance, when I was looking at his face, I do believe he felt something for her. Now, whether she genuinely felt anything for him...
Yeah, I have more questions about her feelings towards him versus his feelings towards her. Because he was never on the fence. He was like, we could go together, we can leave right now.
Yeah.
But she wasn't going to have that.
Because she has very high ambitions, too.
Well, I mean, honestly, they found her in a pigsty. For real. I don't know how much I would be like, let's do love. Let's choose love.
Right.
No, I would be anti-maggot at that point. I'm just going to be clean.
But I'm so wondering. I mean, obviously, I think she's probably going to be able to handle herself. But I was just thinking about, because you don't even know if his name is Kahir Mar Diffrin. I don't know. So he's the Nilfgaardian commander. I'm assuming that's the king. I have no idea. But, I mean, because what we know about the king, yes, obviously he staged a whole attack on a city, killed everyone. I was telling Laura, was I telling you, like, when the grandmother is, I love how she goes from, we can't tell the child anything, to, like, she's died, she's like, let me tell you what will happen to our people. Like,
we need to talk.
Please don't show this. She was like, they'll cut your legs. And I was almost on the verge of laughing, but at the same time, like, please don't show this. They set them on fire, because then they show them like stab, like, please don't show this.
Yeah.
They cut out their eyes, and I'm like, okay, I guess basically you realized the cotton wool thing isn't working for you. Now I'm gonna hit you with the truth.
Well, I mean, I think when you find out you've got about like 5 minutes left.
But didn't you feel it was funny when the guy said, when the husband's like, we should prep.
Yeah.
There's no.
Fair.
Then all of a sudden the guy comes in, he goes, and she's like, they're here. Like, when did that happen? Like, how did you not?
Pacing sucks.
How did you not know? And then when you see the army, it's like, there's not like 4 people sent to infiltrate to kill you. That's a freaking army. Like, because I love the expression on her face. It's so well done. And I'm like,
well, I mean,
like,
I think
if I were the king, I would have said, now I'm leaving you because I told you.
You are an idiot.
And then he gets killed right away. Like, that bothered me. He's like, we can win. And then arrow straight to the eye. I'm like, you're not going to win.
But I mean, I think that kind of speaks to what the peasants were saying about her, the kind of let them eat cake mentality. Like, until it's in my face, I'm not going to see a problem.
Yeah, it's like, which I don't know what that says about what the show is saying about women that have like authority roles, because most of the women that have some kind of power, even head mage, like the one scene I did love is the whole council scene where they're determining where Yennefer should go, if Yennefer, and I was kind of thinking, how much power do the women in that circle actually have? Because you got the feeling that Tyson, I mean, I don't know what they're called. I'm
she
gonna
got
call them
overruled.
the head mage council. I mean, she's one of, like, the I'm going to call them a chair member. I have no idea what terms they use for these people. But then I kind of feel bad because I'm like, well, how much power does this woman actually have?
Right. And that she tries to mask that to Yennefer.
Yeah.
Like that, like, no, I wanted the honchos to go this way.
Yeah.
And by the way, I vote for we should just call them the honchos.
The honchos, okay. Yeah, because there's the guy that is the father of Fringilla, who obviously wants to place her, which I don't blame the father, because if my daughter is being sent to you really wonder how these kingdoms are, because like they're all women there. They're not sending any of these men, so I'm just gonna call them like the mage women, because there's no like
Conchets.
Yeah, so they're sending him out to these kingdoms. I can understand how you'd want your daughter well placed, but considering that he was gonna send his daughter, which that king strikes me as a lech as well, because I like how Yennefer's like, you want to send me to the king who gropes his women, and then the minute she walks in, he's like, bye, Fringilla, and like he just like I was like, Yennefer, why do you think he did that, Yennefer? He's not looking at your brains.
Well, that's and that's fine.
And does she care?
No, she wants power.
So then, why did she care about Nilfgaard? Nilfgaard seems pretty powerful. It's almost like it was contradictory. Like, why did she care?
Right.
And also considering, and not to please don't take this the wrong way, considering that before she became beautiful, the king probably was more likely to basically keep her like, okay, I'm going to admire your brains, not your curves. Tell me what you need to know. Well, now she's all beautiful, and the king that she's going to, like, how seriously is he going to take her?
Yeah, but she can probably leverage her sex appeal for a little more power than she would have gotten if she still had the issue.
Which always goes well, like Game of Thrones, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Because even like
Yeah,
the-
he's not
It's a
gonna
bad way
live
of-
very
yes.
long, but he might have
Yeah.
he might have a good
But I
time
just-
before.
I mean, like, even in that series, as I'm hearing you talk, that, Game of Thrones, I think, was very much at times about women and their power only being about their sex appeal or their looks or what baby they could have, or was that destroyed by being forced to have somebody else's baby or whatever.
Right.
So it just, it always feels like that power is always short-lived and the real
yeah.
power is always just out of grasp.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. I mean, I would. I've got my hopes. I've got my hopes that The Witcher and Yennefer fall in love, because I think that's going to be a train wreck, but it'll be an entertaining one, and So, should we wrap up?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, so thank you so much for listening to us discuss The Witcher and why most of us probably won't be watching it any further than what we have.
Oh, I will be.
Amy will be. Okay.
Yeah, I am a kind of captive audience, but I am half asleep. But I'm enjoying I have the insight of the books, and so I can kind of I get a little bit more, I think, out of what they do. And, and possibly this wasn't meant for us because we didn't play the video games.
Right.
We don't have all the backstory we necessarily need. And I am also going to be a witness to every cutscene of one of the Witcher games, because that is a deal I made. So I'll have more insight as I go, because I'll be woken up for cutscenes in the video game.
Okay, well, thank you, Laura, for joining us on
Thank you
our
for
podcast. This
having
was very exciting. I
Yes.
really enjoyed this conversation.
This was
and,
a really good one.
Yeah.
and we look forward to meeting up with all of you again for our next podcast, which we're hoping to do on Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So stay tuned. Thank you.
Thank
you.
you.